So if you've seen some of my samurai ranking videos, then you probably know how much of a Shuhei Fujisawa fan that I am. And my philosophy is pretty simple. If you see that a film is written by him, then you just watch it. You don't ask questions. And I really believe that he's Japan's greatest author. He's known for classics like The Twilight Samurai, The Sword of Desperation, At River's Edge, just some of my favorite films of all time. And luckily you can watch all these adaptations from SamuraiDVD.com. And they pretty much have all of his films that I know of, and it even has its own category. But the site too is just filled with rare samurai films that you won't find anywhere else, so you definitely want to check it out. And as an added bonus, you can get a discount by using the code BUSHIDOBLUES at checkout. And the owner of the site, Merlin, he's just a great guy, and he knows just how big of a fan I am of Fujisawa films. So as soon as he gets a new one, he lets me know right away, and he sends me a copy. And so he just sent me this film, and it's titled Death Duel on Dream Chaser Hill. And it's supposed to combine two of Fujisawa's short stories. This is Badger and The Return. And the synopsis for the film reads that it's a tale of a samurai's revenge after betrayal by his former clan. After the slaying of his clan's corrupt chamberlain, he takes to the road and becomes a wandering ronin. And eventually he becomes a yakuza bodyguard known as Uno the Reaper. And this film just has brilliant performances by the Ogata Ken and the Emmy nominee Tadanobu Asano, recently seen in Shogun. And both of these actors highlight this movie with just great action and a love story that spans generations. Not to be missed. So this film actually plays out a lot like the film The Return, which starred Tatsuya Nakadai. And that really is a favorite of mine, and it has to do with this older, skilled swordsman that returns from one last mission. And it really was just the perfect return for the legendary actor of Tatsuya Nakadai. I thought that aspect was just brilliant. But this film plays out much more like a cheaper version of that. And I'm just gonna be honest, there's no beating around the bush. You can see for your own eyes that this looks like a for television movie. It also doesn't help too that it was made in 1989, so it sort of looks dated too. And actually all of Fujisawa's other films that I love just happen to have been released in the 2000s to 2010s. So this one definitely is gonna look older than those. But I will say that this film still is very watchable. There is still some great shots of nature, some good ones of samurai in the mists and snow. A lot of times, samurai movies from the 80s use a lot of cheesy music, like rock music for some reason. But this one actually does it. In fact, it uses a really nice score. So that definitely helps to not make it seem as dated. And much like with The Return, this film gives us a great badass main character. And an older one too, and I always appreciate that because it just shows how you could still be a badass even at an old age. And it makes it convincing too, that could end up looking cheesy. And the swordsman in this is interesting too because he doesn't kill anyone really. Instead he strikes his opponents with the blunt ends of his sword. And there's an interesting reason behind why he does that, and it gets revealed later on. So he's sort of like a Rurouni Kenshin. Also too, this has the youngest Tadanobu Asano that I've seen. And it is a smaller part, but I thought he did a pretty good job in this. You could tell that even back then, he just had this natural screen presence to him. He was meant to be a legend. And to just see him now in the new Shogun show, and he was just so good in that. He also should have won an award, but, you know, what are you gonna do? Anyway, I'm gonna say that this film isn't really a must-watch, and it is one of Fujisawa's weaker films, but there is a hint of greatness behind this. I believe if it gets remade now, it really could be a great film, because there's definitely something here. It is a great concept, and it has great characters that I want to see more of. But unfortunately, like I said, it just looks dated, and it has that for television look. So if you want this film, it's only available on SamuraiDVD.com. But you could get a discount by using the code Bushido Blues at checkout. And, you know, check out his site. He just has a ton of samurai films, and also just an entire Shuhei Fujisawa section. So you could use the code on those films too. And I also have a video that ranks all the Shuhei Fujisawa adaptations. I'll provide a link for that in the description. And like always, thanks for watching.